So does anyone here doubt that Don and I are in cahoots on the music today? So have you had any doubts this week? Do you ever doubt that Source is guiding you and everything's in divine order and just going great? I do. So with all the hate and the violence and the greed and the just nasty meanness in the world, do you ever doubt that humanity will survive? I do. Personally, I think we're getting close to another flood. So do you ever doubt your choices, that maybe there's something you've made a big mistake on, or you're just not ready to make the right choice? Well, I do. So back in early July, I was over here one Friday working on the board, and Val was in her office, and she said, when do you want to speak? So, now for those of you who've been around for a long time, I used to speak, and this is not my first rodeo. And I said, I don't know. I said, we're getting ready to do a big renovation at the house, and, I don't know. I said, maybe November. Well, okay, the 9th. I said, okay. And she said, well, what's the title of your talk? And I just looked at her, and from somewhere, someone said, when in doubt. And she said, oh, okay. Well, what's it going to be about? What's the synopsis? And again, from somewhere, I just projectiled the entire outline. And then kind of forgot about it. Except she said, now send it to me again, because she lost the email. So again, I drew this entire chart. I don't know where it came from. No idea. But that's kind of how I roll. So weeks go by, and some of you know this. I was in a wreck. An elderly man who should not have been driving got very confused in the intersection. He thought it was okay to turn into oncoming traffic, which was me, and it wasn't. So I would tell you that a seatbelt keeps your body in the seat, but the rest of you goes flying. Your arms, your head, everything. So anyway, long story short, totaled my car. The weeks go by, bruises and cuts healed, but my neck didn't. So if you've ever had anybody ever had whiplash? It is nasty. It has 3 components: pain, exhaustion, and it's called cervical vertigo. And it's vertigo from dizzy, loopy, because the soft tissue in your neck and your head is swollen, and it compresses the blood vessels, so you're like on a ship on the ocean most of the time. Well, day 63, and I've kept count, was really bad. I had everything going on, and I was sitting on the couch, and I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to speak. Today is day 77, by the way. So 2 weeks ago, I was like, I don't think I can do this. So I texted Val, and I said, I think you need to find somebody to speak for me on the 9th. I just don't think I can do this. What if I get one of these, the headaches are like screwdrivers twisting in my head, and my neck feels, everybody seen The Exorcist when her neck's going? That's how my neck felt. This is day 63 of this. So I just don't think I can do this. So she texts me back 2 words: I'll check. Now, for those of you who's known Val as long as I have, that's Val speak for, I don't think so. There's something else going on. You need to figure out what it is. So I looked down. First I was like, oh dear, this is not good, because she's on to me. And there was, sitting next to me on the couch, this is the whole talk today. And it's the chart, and it's the whole thing. But what I saw was the big doubt. And all I could do was laugh It's like, well, I just got plagued by spirit big time. I'm wallowing in doubt, and that's what I'm supposed to be talking about. Oh, play me like a fiddle. So I texted her back and said, okay, I'll be fine. I get it. Not only was I played in knowing that I would be fine in nanoseconds, but I was reminded of two very important things. Number one, we always teach what we need to learn. Yeah. And I need to practice what I preach. So I shared this with our healing class, and they found me very amusing. But thank you, Jan, because she said, well, how did you do that? How did you get from doubt to knowing? How did you get there, and how long did it take? Well, thanks for asking. So I will tell you this, it is a continuum that you go back and forth all day long. So this is going to be fun. Oh, and another thing to add, the wireless mic did not get charged this week, and I hate to use this. So this is what that paper turned into. We just go from fear to doubt, to belief, to trust and faith, and to knowing. So, how does that work? And how in the world did I go from doubt, and actually I had been in fear that I'm never going to be right again, to doubt, and then to knowing that I'd be fine literally in a second. So let's talk about fear. This is a self-imposed mindset. It paralyzes us, and it keeps us stuck. Now, I call this the big empty or the black hole. So and if you look around the world right now, fear is being used to control people. It's how cults control people. It's how dictators control people. And it's how a lot of religions control people. But if we can move out of that and remember that we need to get unstuck, because that same awful energy will keep us in the same situation, and it hurts. It can devastate us. But we need to move into love to heal and to just get rid of all this stuff, because fear ridicules and it destroys. So what gets us out of fear? Well, too many things. I have found that there's a few ways to get out of fear. One is kindness. And if you're in fear that I don't know how this is going to work, a kindness will take you from fear that I can't do it. I'm just not enough. And not enough is the worst fear to me there is, because that's what we were taught as children. You're not good enough, you're not tall enough, you're not short enough, you're not thin enough, you're not heavy enough. Anybody taught that? So what gets us out of that? It's kindness. Have you ever just smiled at a little kid and said, "You're so cute, you're so pretty, you're so smart"? And that propels people completely out of fear. The other thing is the divine idea, which is a push. I get a lot of those. If you notice that when you get those, you try to avoid them and it doesn't work, you'll get shoved. Because Spirit will say, "I think you need to do this. This is what you're here for." And you can fight it, and probably all of us know how well that works. Or you're rebellious, and you just say, "Well, oh yes I can, you just watch this." Anybody that was me. I was like, nah, I'm not going this other stuff. So from fear, you can go to doubt. And doubt, do you think doubt's a bad place? It's not. Doubt's a good place. Can be. It's where we say, well, maybe, maybe not. We're uncertain of the right choice. Or we say, well, what if? You know, maybe that just might work, or I don't know, doesn't feel right. Can I? Should I? Or is it possible? Now, some of you might remember the talk I did a few years ago on possibility. If you don't believe in possibility, then there's probably going to be a problem. Because if you don't think it's possible, it's not going to happen to you. So when you're in doubt, how do you go into belief? Another miracle. So aha moments propel us out of doubt. I had an aha moment when I was wallowing in my poor pitiful me, I won't be able to do my talk. And it was the aha of, well, duh, I didn't give you this whole thing for you to not do it. So, anybody, are you familiar with Greg Braden? He's a fabulous New Thought author. And he says, in the spontaneous healing of belief, belief is defined as the certainty that comes from accepting what we think is true in our minds, coupled with what we feel is true in our hearts. From the healing of disease, to the length of our lives, to the success of our careers and relationships, everything we experience as life is directly linked to what we believe. We live our lives based on what we believe about the world, ourselves, our capabilities, and our limitations. So, another talk. What do you believe? So, we kind of joked about this in the healing class, but what do you believe? Do you believe in karma? Do you believe in divine order? Do you believe in the power of prayer? And do you believe you have a divine purpose? Well, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, and we joked about this in the class. Do you believe in gravity? Everybody believe in gravity? Do you trust it's going to keep you here on Earth? You're not going to go flying off? Yeah, absolutely. Do you believe in karma? I do. And because we're told repeatedly in basically all religions that whatever you plant, you're going to reap. So, yeah, because I believe in karma, do I trust that I and everyone else is basically going to reap what I sow? Yeah, I do. Sometimes I wish it happened a little quicker for some people, but so how do you make, I call that the leap of faith. How do you go from belief to trust? So it might happen in a second, or it might take years. It's tough, and it's a process. As those of us who've been in unity for a long time know, this is all a process. So if you trust, do you have faith in that Creator is your source? Do you trust, have faith in divine order, in prayer, and in the wisdom of discernment? So we get stuck in this decision-making thing. We make judgments, which are ego. Those are all ego-based. Or we use our divine gift of discernment. And discernment always asks the question, is this in my highest good? And if you use that instead of the judgment, oh, is this good or bad, you're probably going to make a better decision. So what is faith? Well, Charles Fillmore says, faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the power to shape substance. Faith is our ability to see the possibilities of life. So in Hebrews 11:1, we hear, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And that's a very well-known assurance. That's the deal. So what if faith is a deep knowing that there's a divine presence, a power greater and more holy than we can even imagine? This power the power that created us sustains us, protects us, guides us, and blesses us. Faith is knowing that this unseen force, the I am that I am, truly exists and trusting in it. I trust technology at this very moment. I didn't yesterday. So, how many of you, does anybody besides me have a mustard seed? Yay. So, mustard seed is itty bitty teeny tiny, itty bitty. And Jesus talked about it in the Sermon on the Mount. He said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. That is some pretty heavy-duty stuff. I don't know that I could actually move a mountain, but I've sure seen some pretty cool stuff happen. So, knowing is a space of oneness with the divine. It's beyond our doubts and our negative stuff we've been taught and experienced. Knowing can be a divine idea. It could be an ancient truth we remember, and I refer to unity teachings. So I remember the first time we walked into a unity church. It was the candlelighting service at Downtown Unity in 1994, and I left there wasn't a doubt in my mind. I was home. Now, for some people, you've been very entrenched in some fear-based religion. That could be tough, but it might just happen that you're going to know at an exact moment you're home. So knowing is also a feeling of assurance that all is in divine order, and it's going to be okay. And that was the aha moment I had sitting on the couch going, poor me. This knowing can be this peace that passes all understanding, or it could be a moment of bliss and communion with the divine. So the mystics hang out in this oneness space. If you remember, Thomas Merton had his moment of bliss, his aha, at the corner of 4th and Walnut, which is now Muhammad Ali. And there he said he knew he was one with everybody and everything. So that's a pretty big movement. So have you had a moment of bliss, a moment of knowing when you knew the answer? Ever? Anybody? I have. They're not often, and sometimes I think I've forgotten about them. And then when they happen, it's like, wow, even if it's a duh. So the process. Jan was like, how did you get there in seconds? Like, well, that was on this particular episode of doubt. Sometimes it takes years. And to get to the faith part is probably the longest part. So Myrtle Fillmore, she heard these New Thought teachings, and she knew her truth. She was a child of God and did not inherit sickness, and in 3 years she was cured of TB and malaria. So I thought about, well, what's a great example of this journey? Well, the 12 disciples. They had 3 years And Jesus shows up and says, okay, guys, I need you to leave your job, leave your home, leave your family, and go with me. Think they had doubt? Probably. So for 3 years, they watched all these miracles. They watched Jesus raise Lazarus from the dead, feed the crowd from the 5 loaves and fishes, turn water to wine, calm the storm, walk on water. So where did the doubt come in with the walking on water? Peter couldn't do it. He just wasn't there yet. But then remember, the woman who walked up and knew if she just touched the hem of Jesus' robe, she'd be healed. And then, of course, we have doubting Thomas, who had to see the sword crucifixion wounds to believe that this risen Jesus was actually Jesus. So who was the one person that knew from the very beginning who he was and why she was there? Mary Magdalene. So how long do you think it took the disciples to get from doubt, probably fear of what they had to believe, to doubt all the way into knowing? Sure, it was different for each one. And most of them, it didn't happen till after the resurrection and everything that went on after that. So how did I do it? Unity. How long did it take? Well, obviously I still have working on it, and this is 30 years later. So getting past the tapes and the stuff we've been taught, it's rough, but we can do it. So it's a matter of remembering or realizing the truth of who you are. So how do you do it? Well, it's real simple, and we're told in Psalm 46:10. Be still and know. Stop thinking about it. Stop wallowing in it. Stop, oh dear me, and just be still. So remember that you are a creation of the divine. Be still, and you will know. And so it is.